Okay, hello, math, fun, and games class. This week's verse is Proverbs 3, verse 9. Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Today, we're going to start the topic of counting money, or money in general. And we're going to do this topic for quite some time. I've found in my lifetime, I've had a lot of times where I've come to a store to pay for things, and the cashier doesn't know how to count back my money, doesn't know how to give change, and it's a big issue. And we can do the counting money and learn things about money and still practice math facts at the same time. So we're going to spend 6 weeks on this. This is basically our last topic for the year, but it's a very diverse topic that we'll have to figure out where you're at in it. You'll have to figure it out at home since we can't be in the classroom. But I think this is an appropriate verse for us to start with, because the first thing we need to recognize about money is that it's not ours. It's God's. Everything we own is God's. God actually says, you can use this money. I'm giving it to you. Just let me keep a portion of it for myself. So we have to just know that our money is from God, and giving back to Him really is just giving Him what is His, right? And so keep that in mind as we talk about money, and as you live your life with money and being generous with it, that God's just giving it to you for you to be responsible with where it should be spent. All right, so honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Let's first start with just looking at some money. I have some coins here, and many of you maybe already know how to count money. And you're going, I don't need this lesson at all. That's fine. I want to challenge you, if you already know how to count money real quick in your head, to teach a sibling, or it's good to teach someone, even if it's someone that knows how to do it already. If you teach it, you will become more versed and better at it. It's actually a proven thing. That's why we do a lot of peer tutoring things, because when you tutor someone in something you know, you learn it better. So if you already know, great, move on. But just watch this maybe to help someone else learn it. Maybe it's a sibling that's working on it. Fun thing to do with a younger sibling. I'm not saying that you have to do this, but a fun thing to do would be to look at coins. When I taught in the elementary grade levels early in my teaching career, I would have them look real carefully at them and learn each one, and to be able to identify each one. You could figure out that I'm going to show you a little tip on how to count money using the pictures on each coin. Well, let's look at them. Penny, know what it is? Abraham Lincoln, know what this is? See if you can guess them all before I give them to you. That's the Lincoln Memorial. If you look really close, you can see a teeny tiny Abe Lincoln in the middle. And if you've gone to DC to see that, you'll know what that looks like. Nickel. Who's on the front? If you guessed Thomas Jefferson, you were right. What's on the back? Oop. This is actually a home that Thomas Jefferson designed himself and had built. So Jefferson and his home. Let's do the dime next. Who knows what this is? Franklin D. Roosevelt would be the right guess. This back is a little tricky to see, but we'll be using this to learn how to count, or you can teach a sibling how to count. There are 3 things on the back. There are 2 branches and a torch. Okay, torch means liberty, like the Liberty Bell. I mean, not the Liberty Bell, the Statue of Liberty, which holds a torch, means liberty. On the left, I believe the left is the olive branch, which means peace, which is kind of cool because that's what the dove brought to the ark, peace coming over the land. And then the right is an oak branch, which an oak, if you know your woods, oak is very strong. And so that oak branch stands for strength. So that's your dime, your quarter. And this is the last one I'll look at. See, there's a 4 that we use a lot. You should all know that guy, George Washington, and of course, our country's bird, the eagle. Okay. All right. So, learning the amounts of these, I'm assuming you all know that already. Here's a special one I just wanted to show you. It's kind of cool. It's the dollar coin. Maybe you've seen that special edition one. Kind of sweet. And then this one we don't use very often anymore, but it's a 50-cent piece. You'll see that in sometimes, but not very often anymore. So 50 cents. So those two we'll set aside for now. Mostly we're going to just talk about these because this is what we use in our everyday life for the most part. When we're counting coins, you should memorize your quarters, right? Your quarters should be something you just absolutely memorize, so it can come quickly. I have some pretend coins here. Maybe you do at home too that you can use. If not, if you don't have pretend coins, I'm attaching to the email a link that you can print up. Here's a page of quarters. Here's a page of dimes, etc. Pennies and nickels. You can print them up, cut them out, and use them for any of the games in the next 6 weeks. I will attach that to your email so you can do that. Back to the quarters. Quarters are called quarters for a reason, because 4 quarters, I'm going to switch to all play money. 4 quarters equals $1. And this is really crucial just to know this. And I think probably most of you already know this. I hope all of you do. But I'm just going to give a quick review so that you can teach a sibling if you need to. So, a $1 bill. Okay, this one's a small one, but this is a $1 bill. You can picture 4 quarters equals a $1 bill. So, what I want to show you in that word picture, we've done fractions, are equal parts. Okay, if you take a $1 bill, you divide it up into 4 equal parts, you will get 1/4 here, right? Here's 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. So that's why we also call a 1/4 as a fraction. We also call that a quarter. Okay, we say a quarter of $1 is what we say. That's what this is called. It's called a quarter because it's a quarter of $1. 4 of them make $1. So if you didn't make that connection already, that's kind of a cool connection. Now, you should memorize how to count them. 25, 50, 75, $1. You should say that over and over again and memorize that. That will get you a quick count to where you need to be with quarters. Now, how do you count amounts of coins that are random? I'm going to teach you a little trick. I would always, when you're counting, start with your quarters. So start with, I'm going to switch all to play money in a minute. Start with quarters first, and then move on from there. So let's start with this. So if you already know how to add them up in your head, I would arrange them from greatest to least, like that, and then just count them out. Okay, so if you know the amounts and can add them quickly, you would know this is 25, 50. Okay, and then rethink 10 more, 60, 70, 5 more, 75, 76, and then you have to kind of rethink this too, right? It's just 1 more, 76, 77, 78, so 78 cents. Now, if you have someone that's struggling with counting money, there's a thing called touch points. And as a teacher, way back when, I used touch points with a lot of my kids that struggled with counting money, and it did wonders. So if you are struggling with money, this will help you. If you have a sibling that is, ask your parents if you can help them use touch points. Let me show you what it is. Touch points basically does the same thing. We're going to use that same money in a minute. But it gives you a picture, and helps you count it out using your counting by fives, which is exactly what we did with telling time. 5, 10, 15, 20. So that you're always counting by fives. It keeps it really consistent if you have a hard time adding the money up in your head. So this is how it works. If you look at a nickel, the back side of the nickel is this Monticello, the large home of Thomas Jefferson. It has a dome on top. and we're going to put a touch point right on top of that dome, and that's it. Okay, so just hang with me while I show you how this works. Then if you recall, on the dime, there were 2 plants, not including the torch, just the 2 plants, the olive branch and the oak tree branch. I want you to put 2 imaginary dots on those. We'll call them touch points because we're going to touch them when we count in just a minute. And then the last one is tricky because when I was your age, this is all we had for quarters. But now our quarters are random. Okay, they have all different pictures of the states on them, and there's no consistent picture on the back. So if there isn't a eagle on the back, like there was always in my day and age, and these are, you know, when I was a teacher, when I first started teaching, the play money was always just the eagle on the back. So you have to kind of picture the eagle if you don't have an eagle on the back of your quarter. And then your touch points on that eagle are going to be the 2 talons, the 2 wings, and the head. So that is what in your head you have to picture as you touch point each and every coin that you add up. Let me show you how that works. So let's just take one of the quarters first. A quarter is worth 25 cents. And you should know that stuff by now. If you don't, you can learn it, and this will help you learn it too. Let's say you didn't know that it was 25 cents. But if you can learn where the touch points are, talon, talon, wing, wing, head, then you count by 5s. So you need to know your 5s, which we've practiced a lot and you've done before we've even met in this class. Count by 5s as you touch. Watch what happens. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So that gives you 25 by counting by 5s. Whereas the dime, we know, is worth 10 cents. And if we touch just the branches, not the torch, we would touch it twice. 1 here, 1 here. We would say 5, 10. Again, always counting by 5s. That one's worth 10 cents. And then the nickel, as you remember, is 1 touch point on the dome. So we just say 5. All the silver coins are always counting by 5s. The copper coins, which are only the pennies, would not be. So these are left out. They're kind of left to the end, and you have to switch your brain over for counting by 1s, right? Because they're only 1 penny. All right. So when you would count this way, if you can't add it up in your head like we did just now, you would do this. You would say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 80, 70, 75. I skipped my brain. 75. And then you have to stop. Different colors, stop and think. Okay, we're at 75. Now I have to go one more from 75. I go 76, 77, 78. And indeed, that's what we have, 78. Let me show you one more time. And then hopefully you could do it on your own and or teach a sibling to do it. Okay, let's try these. You get the money, set it out in order. And again, you have to know the amounts in order to do this, right? I flip them over right away so I can touch point them because I need all the ones without the heads. Except for the pennies, don't matter. Okay, so let's try it again. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. Stop and think. One more than 55 would be 56, 57. So that's just a quick lesson for those of you that maybe have struggled in the past with counting. I'm predicting that most of you haven't. So I want to show you some games that were just going to be easy this week on just counting and making sure that you can count and add up your money before we do. Man, I wanted to do some stores in the classroom. Or we're going to have a fun time setting up stores. I hate to even say that and disappoint you, but I'm going to try to make it so that you can make change and play money in the next weeks. But for this week, I just want you to practice counting money and know that you can add them up in your head as you count. Use that technique if you don't have one. Okay, so there are, oh, I have one other thing. This is cool. I told you this is what I used to do. With these coins, It's fun to put one of each in a bag and then have one of your parents just put their hand in the bag and then say, okay, like I'm not looking at it right now. This is a nickel. Yep, I was right. Okay, so nickel's kind of a little easier because it's a little bigger. Okay, I can feel, okay, it's quarter. Of course, quarter's easy to find, right? The ones that are hard are these two, right? Because they're very similar. If you're not looking, of course, they're slightly different size. The dime is smaller, but it's hard to tell. But it's kind of fun to do this. You could put them in a bag and then just put your hand in without looking, and then your mom or dad, or you could tell your mom or dad, find me the penny. Let me see if I can do it. Okay. I believe that. And I did it. Now, there's one thing I'm not going to tell you that helps even blind people know the difference between these two. See if you can figure it out. It's kind of a cool thing that they've done that helps you figure out which is which. All right. 4 games. That was not one of them. That's just a fun thing if you want to try it. It's kind of fun. I love doing that with my students. We would do it in our classroom if we were there today. First game, Pay the Banker. Trying to alter all the games so that you can do them at home easily. Pay the Banker is just basically making change. So you could do little cups like this. I would suggest do an amount from 30 cents on up to a 90-cent one, whatever, like 34 and 42, and do each group of 10 have some cents in it. Put the amounts on there, and then this is your, like a bill this is 54 cents. Put the 54 cents in there, slide it over, put 73 cents in here until you have them all, and then have each player, or you could just do it, have your parents check and see if you got it right, or you could have you do 5 and a sibling of yours do 5 and then check each other and then switch and do the other set. You can also, if you don't have plastic cups around, trying to not make you have to go to the store and buy anything, I found I have these little salsa cups. You could just write inside the salsa cup what what amount you want in there. I just wrote with one of these dry erase markers, and it just comes right out. So you could easily do that and then put the money in and check that way. Just be creative, however you want to do it. So that is your first one, Pay the Banker. Try that one and see if you can get them all correct. And then this one's kind of fun. The next one is Money Toss. So take whatever you want as far as money. This could even be, using some of these dollar. This is a Susan B. Anthony dollar, like this real one. I had some play money like it. But if you don't, you can print them up online. They have all that stuff online. So let's say I just took some. You determine what you take. And then you and a team, a partner, going to play against each other. All you do is mix, toss it, and then I've got one that's shot over here. You look at them and you determine if you're heads or tails. Let's say I'm tails and my partner is heads. So all the heads go to him, all the tails go to me. And then you add up how much you have. Okay, so you have to do your counting, double check each other, make sure you counted right, and then you would write it down on a piece of paper. I got this much, you got that much. And maybe you want to end it with, after 10 tosses is what I would suggest. Do 10 tosses and then keep adding up your tally and see who won. Okay, so I would do this one, 50 cents, 75,